This is Haystack Help Radio on KLZ 560. Haystack Help Radio is powered by HaystackHelp.com. Finding help can be like finding a needle in a haystack, but with HaystackHelp.com, finding the needle just got easier. Now, Haystack Help Radio with Scott Watley on KLZ 560.
Good afternoon and welcome to Haystack Help Radio. Thank you so much for joining us today. Kurt Rogers is with us from Affordable Interest Mortgage, and it is a special day of Your Money Matters here on Haystack Help Radio. Kurt, how are you, sir?
I am doing just fine, just loving this weather that we're having.
Exactly. Again, Affordable Interest Mortgage, your one-stop shop for all of your mortgage needs, 720-895-0500. You can check out their website, aimortgage.net. Before we get with our guest today, Kurt, there still seems to be a lot of confusion out there about a couple of terms in your industry. One is pre-qualified and one is pre-approved. And everybody just thinks if they've got the pre-qual, they think they're pre-approved.
Correct. And it's actually becoming a big problem because you're starting to see listing agents want to protect their client to make sure that the offer that's done on the house, that it is already pre-approved. The difference is a pre-qual means I've gathered information, I've run it through the numbers, and according to what I see, you fit the parameters. Pre-approval is a lot different. Is I must see your income documentations. Mm-hmm. I must see your assets. I have to prove that you're working for a period of time. I must know certain things, not with just what you tell me, but with documentation. And one of the biggest things we saw, and I don't know if you watched the news about a week ago, there was a lady down in Colorado Springs. And she was told by her listing agent that there was a pre-approval. But when they actually looked at the pre-approval, it was contingent upon his credit score being changed to qualify for the loan. That's even a week pre-qual. And this lady ended up putting the person in the house, and it's going to cost them $40,000. Now, there's a lot of people that are going to help, but it's going to cost them $40,000 because somebody didn't pay attention. Sure. And I assure you, from this point forward, you're going to see a lot of agents that, and I get it now. When a listing agent has one of my clients, they'll call me up and have you seen the documentation? Yes, I've run it through an underwriter. I'm good to go. We're already qualified. We're already approved from a lender on this. That's the difference. It takes more than 6 hours to get a pre-approval. Mm-hmm. You can't just say these things and say, here it is. And there's too many listing agents that are going to go, that's not going to work no more.
Right. And probably most realtors, the first thing they're going to ask you, are you pre-qualified when you call a realtor?
Well, they won't even. I had a lady call me this morning. She says, I need a pre-approval letter before I take these folks out because without it, I'm not making an offer. Mm-hmm. They can't make an offer. There's too many people that are either going to pay cash or have a real pre-approval to where the seller knows the house was going to get sold. You've got to spend the time up front to get, whether you come to us or go to anybody, get the pre-approval before you even contact an agent, or if you have an agent, they'll tell you to get the pre-approval. Otherwise, your offer's not even going to be considered.
Sure.
It's just the way the market is right now.
If you've got any mortgage needs, first of all, you can call in today, 303-477-5600, and we can help you. Or you can call Kurt at Affordable Interest Mortgage. And again, that number is 720-895-0500. Well, it's great to have back in studio. I had this gentleman in several weeks back, Mike Hills from Atlas Real Estate. Mike, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Great to see you.
Yes, sir.
You know, I can tell you I got a lot of comments on the show and people going like, hey, is that for real? I mean, that somebody can really do that. And I said, well, I just met him one time, but I said, to be honest with you, and I said, but I know Kurt wouldn't have brought him in if it really wasn't for real. And then, you know, you're talking about doing some classes and there wasn't any kind of charge for that.
Correct.
And I think that's hard for people to believe because you see all the times, come to my real estate seminar, you know, $5,000 and we're going to teach you this.
So I guess this is the question that I would ask. And I've been asking everybody this question. And it doesn't matter how old you are, but find somebody that you consider old. So if you're 20, I'm old to a 20-year-old.
Is that why you're looking at Scott? Because you're looking at somebody that's old?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
So this is a question. Go to somebody that you consider old in your life and ask them a simple question. If you can go back and still own every house you've ever lived in, but it wouldn't change your life today, would you do it? And almost everybody will say, well, of course, because I'd have several $1 million in real estate. Well, you can do that. There are ways to do that, but most people don't, because the American way is you buy a house, you want a new house, so you sell your current house in order to have the down payment for the second house. And that's not the way the game has to be played. And we just help people learn new rules of the game. That's really what we do, is we just teach them ways that I've been playing this game for a long time and playing by the rules that exist for all of us.
Right.
But people just don't know the rules.
Go back a little bit and let's reset from your first visit for those that weren't able to hear it, of just how you got started in this and what gave you that courage to step out the first time.
Yes, sir. So for those of you, if you've ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, my story is similar to that. I had a buddy, best friend growing up, whose dad lived across the street. He lived across the street from me. When we were in college, his dad had acquired 6 or 7 rentals through a family member passing away, couldn't sell a house, and he had acquired 6 or 7 rentals. When I was roughly 18 to 20 years old, he started selling these different rentals off and started building his dream house. He bought a piece of land, paid cash with one of the rental sales, then sold a couple more. Long story short, when it was all said and done, by the time I was really close to graduating college, I had the good opportunity to go to the University of Denver here locally. And Bob is this man's name. He had about $500,000 in cash in the bank, and he owned his house outright. He owned it outright, owned the land, and he designed it and built it himself. And I thought to myself, well, paying rent is awful. Paying rent makes other people rich. And if I can give this, and Bob did it sort of by accident, a little bit on purpose, but sort of by accident. If I can give this targeted focus, sniper rifle type focus, and do this for many, many years, I don't see how it couldn't work. So I bought my first house 2.5 months after graduating college. I didn't have any money, so I got what's called a gift letter from my mom for $6,800 and bought my first house, and I still own that today. Bought it closed September 1st, 2001. So that was 17 years ago. September 1st will be 17 years. And that was actually an awful time to buy a house because it was 10 days before September 11th. I lived there for 14 months, had 2 roommates living with me. They paid me rent. We moved, bought another house 14, 15 months later, did it again. So I ended up buying a house in 2001, roughly 2003, 2005, 2007, 2008. And I lived in all of them, and they became sort of the base. And then everybody says, well, what happens when the market crashed? And the market did crash in 2008. I just kept them all. And people say today, well, the market's going to crash. Yes, but if you buy fundamentally smart, strong deals, man, when the market crashes, if you have people paying your rent, who cares?
Yeah.
People still need a place to live.
They need a place to live.
Whether you own it, you have to have a place to live. Now, understanding rentals, because I have had some, and I understand what you're talking about. Sometimes what some people don't understand, you can buy a house right and rent it, or you can buy a house wrong.
Correct.
What are some of the key factors in making sure that you don't cross that line and get the wrong home? And the first one I always tell people is emotions. It's not a house you're going to own. It's an investment.
So it's funny they say that, Kurt, because I tell, and ladies, I apologize for this, but usually the emotional side of this comes into the wife of a husband and wife. So I have a client right now, husband and wife, that they came to me about 1.5 years ago. They wanted to buy a new house. He's a vet. They had a VA loan. And they said, well, we need to sell our house in order to buy a new house because we have a VA loan. And I said, well, can I coach you a little bit? And they said, sure. And I said, let's do this. Let's refinance out of your VA loan, which they did. And now we'll use the new VA loan to buy you a new home, which they did because VA loans are no down payment. So they kept the house, and they October will be 2 years that they've owned it. And think of the appreciation in Colorado that they've gained on the house that they didn't sell in 2 years. Think of the wealth that they have created. Mm. But here's the thing, what I told them. Once you move out of this home, and they had 2 little girls in that home, once you move out of this home, this is no longer your home. You cannot think about it like a home. It is a house. Don't drive by it. Let me manage it for you. Don't worry about the grass being too long. When your neighbors who you've built friendships up with 10 years call you to complain about the tenants, which will happen, give them my cell phone number. Do not get emotionally invested, because when you get emotionally invested, man, you get really upset because you don't think of it like an investment. You think of it like your home. And once you no longer live there, it's just an investment. It's just a car. It's just a piece of property. It's just a piece of stock. It's not an emotional investment. And that's one of the mistakes people make. I think the top 3 mistakes that I would say that people make to make a bad decision is, number 1, first and foremost, you buy a house and don't have it rented, which is very obvious. If you buy a house and you don't have it rented, then you don't make money. Number 2 comes into the loan. If you have an adjustable rate mortgage, interest rates are going up right now. Anybody out there that has an adjustable rate mortgage, you need to call Kurt. Get out of the adjustable rate mortgage on a 30-year mortgage, because if you do, you can get pinched in terms of the rent. Third thing is when people are living on the cash flow from their renters and they need the cash flow in order to live. In other words, man, if your renters don't pay rent that month, or a water heater goes out, or a furnace goes out, or you need a new roof, or whatever happens, or you have to evict somebody, but now you need their money in order to pay your personal mortgage payment on your house, that's how you can get pinched. And you can get pinched in a bad way doing that. And we coach people on how not to do that, to make sure that it is an investment and that you do have all the parameters set so that when bad things happen, which they will, you have a piggy bank to deal with it.
When my wife and I would go out and look at investment properties, she said, "That's a nice house." And she said, "Well, look, this is really good. They could do this, this, and this." And I'm like, "It's not a place we're going to live. It's not ours. I don't really care where it is.
Right.
I just care about how much I can make on the rent as extra income." And you see that a lot. Well, we should change this for them. No, it's a rental.
Let me give you 2 examples. When my wife and I got married, we didn't live together before we got married. And when we got married, I asked her, I was like, "Hey, which one of the rentals do you want to live in?" And she was like, "None of them. They're all disgusting." And she's right. I lived with guys, and
they're disgusting.
We're disgusting. I mean, we just are. Second thing, to Kurt's point, my wife and I sold one of our rentals May of last year and 1031 exchanged it into an apartment building. And that rental that we had, we owned it for 10 years. And 6 weeks before we sold it, I put sprinklers in the front yard, ripped down a bunch of nasty bushes, and put in sod. The front yard looked better the last 6 weeks that we owned it than it did the previous 10 years. Because to Kurt's point, there's no point in doing that kind of work when the tenants are in there, because it's not going to make me more rents. It'll make me more resale. So I did it right before we sold it, but not when there was tenants in there. And that's having somebody that can advocate, that can guide you in that process. Do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. That's a really important step in this process.
Right. So when you look at your mortgage payment, let's say it's $1,600, what percentage then? Is it a percentage that you go by? Is it how do you go about figuring out then what to charge for rent?
Sure. So it depends on your goal. And let me say it this way. All of my rentals I have on 10-year and 15-year mortgages. So they're all fixed rate debt. They're all 10-year and 15-year mortgages, which means my payments is higher. Therefore, my cash flow is lower. So when I'm valuing deals, when I'm looking at quadplexes, apartments, single-family homes, whatever it may be, the first thing is, will this make money from a rental perspective, and what is that rent number? Then we try to back into what the mortgage payment will be, but that depends on whoever we're talking to. It depends on what your goal is. Mm-hmm. If you're doing this for retirement and you're retiring in 15 years, that's a different plan than if you're doing it in retirement and you're retiring in 30 years. Is it a college fund for a child where your child is 5 years old, so we have time, or your child is 10 years old, or your child is 4 months old? So we back into it's all about what the property will produce first, what your goal is, and then we sort of manipulate that mortgage payment to make sure it fits your goal. So in other words, do you want the cash flow, or do you want to pay it off? Right. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, about how people can save interest. Even though the payment might go up $100 or $200 or $300 a month, that over a 5-year period can equal $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in extra equity.
Right.
So it kind of goes along with what you're talking about. What are you going to do at the end of that time frame? How does that fit that goal?
You're listening to Haystack Help Radio and a special edition of Your Money Matters. Our lines are open. If you've got any questions for Mike, we'll open up the phone lines, 303-477-5600. When we come back, we don't want to give a name, of course, but we had a person that heard you on our last show. When we come back, let's talk a little bit how you were able to help him.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back.
What could you do with an extra $500, $1,000, or even $1,500 per month? How would that change things for you? Would you buy a new car, pay off bills, or just feel a bit more secure about your retirement? What if I told you there's a way to make your dreams a reality? I'm talking about trading and investing in the market. Now, before you say, oh, that's not for me, just hear me out. I want to invite you to a half-day trading course so you can check this out. I promise you, you'll go away smarter than when you came in. We here at Online Trading Academy sponsor this, and we'll even send you home with a free home study video guide. Your money's doing nothing for you in a CD or mutual fund. Learn how to profit when the market's up or down. Call us now while seats are still available at 303-325-2776. Use offer code radio50. 303-325-2776. That's 303-325-2776.
Without changing your budget, own your home faster. Take AIM, 720-895-0500. Many of our clients have learned to pay less interest to the bank, not change their spending habits, and own their home faster. Affordable Interest Mortgage has a possible solution, 720-895-0500. Does your current loan allow you to access your equity without refinancing for another loan at higher rates? Does your current loan allow your equity to make your mortgage payment without late fees or dinging your credit? At AIM, we have a loan that allows you those freedoms, all for 30 years. This could be the last loan you need. Pay off your home faster, pay less interest to the bank, access your equity when you need it, skip payments. Call AIM for details, 720-895-0500. If you're tired of paying all that interest up front on a traditional 30-year fixed, call 720-895-0500 and let us save you thousands. Home of the Asset Manager, locally owned and operated, where it is all about you. 720-895-0500. Regulated by DOR, NMLS 298191, Equal Credit Lender.
When people see the new, beautiful cat lodge at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, they're pretty impressed. With its sleek condo spaces, stunning wall murals reflecting Colorado mountainscapes, custom-built cat trees made from real aspen and spruce, and a colorful and entertaining fish tank, we couldn't be happier to show it off. The Cat Lodge is a special place for cats of all ages and sizes to hang out when their families are away, providing much-needed peace and tranquility. Whether your special friend loves to lounge, nest, explore, or be entertained, you can rest assured that your special companion will find something that suits his or her fancy. The atmosphere is relaxing and stress-free and filled with cat-friendly activities and objects of interest. At Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, we understand how stressful it can be to leave a beloved pet behind when you have to be away. Call Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center with your questions about our new Cat Lodge and our cat boarding services. 303-708-8050 or visit LoneTreeVet.com.
Rush to Reason with John Rush, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KLZ 560.
And we are back. You're listening to Haystack Help Radio, a special edition of Your Money Matters. If you're just joining us, my name is Scott Watley, along with Kurt Rogers from Affordable Interest Mortgage. And once again, we're glad to have Mike Hills in studio. Mike is with Atlas Real Estate. You can check out his website at realatlas.com. And his number is 720-220-8500. That's 720-220-8500. Now, let's talk about the caller. You said you had a guy that called you, listened to our show, and which we're always glad to hear. And give us a little bit of background or what made him call.
Yeah, so he and I went out last night and sat down and talked a little bit more about what he's looking to accomplish. And he had heard on the radio. He came to one of our classes. We teach free classes at the end of the month. We have some adult beverages and some snacks for people. It's 6:30 the last Tuesday of each month. He came to that presentation at the end of April, and we met last night. And he is a 49-year-old man, has 2 children, 21's been married to his wife for, I think he said, 25 years. And he just simply doesn't have enough money for retirement. He simply said, you know what, I want my retirement to be a little bit better. So what we are doing is we are figuring out a way for him to buy properties with as little money down. He happens to have a VA loan also on his current house. So what we're probably going to do is refinance his house out of his VA loan, going to keep that as a rental, go buy him another property on the VA loan, which means he gets to put no cash down, turn that into a rental. And because of some different rules, he's actually going to be able to probably buy, we're going to look at buying him a 3-unit or 4-unit little apartment on a VA loan. He lives in one side, or one unit has the other ones, and those other units will pay for his entire mortgage. So the rental on his first house, the 3 rented units on a small apartment pay for all of his mortgages. So now he and his wife have just a little bit more financial freedom that they do today. And on top of that, every time they make the mortgage payments on both properties, they're buying a little bit more of their house, getting one step closer to retirement, but not just retirement with income. Because once those mortgage payments go away, now he just gets to keep the cash flow, which is awesome.
Wow.
That'll work. That's one of the things he teaches in the class. And I wanted you to, a lot of people that are listening going, how do you do that? They would think you need thousands and thousands of dollars to make all that work. They don't, do they?
He will refinance his house. He has some equity in his house. He's owned it for a few years. He will refinance his house. And then because he has a VA loan, he's going to buy another property with no money down. He has good credit. For those that don't have good credit, there's credit repair people that we can guide you to that help you repair credit. But he can do this. There are ways, again, just to manipulate the system. And I know I say the word manipulate, and a lot of people take the word manipulate as a negative, but it's not. You're just learning the rules that the federal government has set up for banking, and using them to your advantage. Because the truth of the matter is, the rules that are set up are not to your advantage. They're set up to make the bankers money. Right. And we just learn the rules and we go around them in a very easy fashion and use those to create wealth for ourselves. And every single person can do this because we all play by the same rules.
So there's just some strategy to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you sit with a person on that first interview, like you did with this client, because I know the client, when you sit with this client, what are some of the basic questions that you ask them on the why? Where are they going? What's some of those questions?
First question, we try to back into this, and I want to know what you are trying to accomplish. What are your goals? Because people's goals, this client is almost 50 years old. A 50-year-old's goals are different than a 25-year-old's goals, or different than a 65-year-old's goals. Last time I was here, I talked about my mom, who was, bought properties at, I forgot how old she was again.
You mentioned it last time, and you were wrong, and she called in.
She texted me about it. But your goals are different. A 65-year-old's goals are different than a 50-year-old's goals, that are different than a 30-year-old's goals. And I want to know, what are you trying to accomplish? And once we know what you're trying to accomplish, we can sort of help guide you on that path. Because, man, we've done it. Regardless of what kind of real estate you're buying, what kind of loan you have, where your credit is, business failure, whatever it is, we have been there, and we can help guide you along that path and get you set back on that right track. Some people they find it scary. They're like, oh gosh, if I own a rental, man, I'm going to get calls at 3:00 in the morning about leaky
next question.
Toilets.
People that don't want to be a landlord.
Yes.
That's one of the big fears. If I got this, now I got all this I got to deal with.
Yep. And so we take that away from you too. We actually, for our clients, if they would like us to, we don't have to, but we would manage their properties. I mean, at Atlas Real Estate, we have, 2,200-ish, give or take, rental properties that we manage actively on a daily basis. This guy that's 2,200. This guy that's buying this apartment, I actually asked him last night, I said, do you want to manage this? And he goes, oh no. And I said, so you're going to live in one of the units and I'm going to manage the other 3. And he said, yes. And I was like, well, the good news is, don't tell anybody that you're the owner.
Sure. They'll
just think that you're another resident of the building, and it's just fine. In fact, the stuff that I own, my residents don't know that I'm the owner. They literally don't know. I don't tell them, because 2 things. If I tell them, they ask for special favors. And number 2, I can use that as, hey, it's me and you against the landlord. Even though I am the landlord, because I want really good relationships with my tenants. I want to be invited to their kids' graduations. I want to get those kinds of letters in the mail. I want to send them Christmas cards, because if I have a good relationship with them, when bad stuff happens in their life, and it will, they'll tell me about it faster, and I can help guide them through it. So it's not just about taking care of the owners, but it's also about taking care of the tenants. And if you treat them with respect and dignity, they'll stay forever. And when you own rental properties, the number one cost is vacancy.
Sure.
Piss off your tenants and they will move out. Keep them happy, they stay forever, and you just make more money and they stay happier.
And I learned this through having rentals. When you rent, you don't always rent for the least amount.
Or the most amount.
Or the most amount.
Yes.
And there's kind of goes along with the reasoning. I want somebody that can willing to pay, but I want to do some things to make sure that they're taken care of.
Correct.
And because you always find those tenants that don't always take care of things, and then you have all this work you have to do.
Well, it's a sneaky thing. So Colorado is a great example right now of properties, right? So it's really important to have people paying rent. Yeah, obviously, if you have a mortgage payment, you need people to pay rent. If they don't pay rent, you're in trouble. But it's equally as important to have somebody care about your asset, to care about your house. Because if they're paying rent, but they're destroying your house, that's tough. It's tough on your property. So one of the things that we do as property managers is we go in every year, regardless, and we do an inspection of their property.
Walkthrough.
Yeah. Like, I want to see what people are doing. My very first house, I told you guys earlier that I bought in 2001. I was not a professional landlord. I didn't know what I was doing. I was a kid. I was 23 years old. I've now had the same tenants in that house for, I think, 11 years. And I haven't stepped foot in that house for 11 years. And I will tell you, I am terrified of what I'm going to find because I know it's going to be scary. But it's one of those things that they've been there 11 years, so I'll be okay. But let us get kicked in the teeth for you. We'll guide you through these things and say, hey, do this because this worked for me. Oh, yeah, and don't do this. Not going in your own home for 11 years is a bad idea. But now I'm just scared. So, I'm acting like an ostrich and sticking my head in the sand because I'm afraid of it.
So the class that you do, let's take a minute and kind of talk about that, of what people can expect if they call you at 720-220-8500 and want to come to one of these free classes.
So really, it's just the Atlas real estate philosophy. And one of the first things I tell people is I don't have a class to sell. I don't have a book to sell. I don't have T-shirts to sell. I don't even have a piece of real estate to sell. It's simply how we value deals, what we're looking for, what we do with our money, and why we think you should do it with yours. I was telling you earlier, Scott, that I've got a saying that we say that it's simply, I will not tell you, hey, this is a good deal for you. And then if you ask, well, Mike, is this a good deal for you? I'll say, oh, no. Nor will I ever say, hey, it's a great deal for me, but it's a terrible deal for you. Mm-hmm. We lead by example. What's good for my money is good with your money. What's good with your money is good with my money. And people ask me regularly, well, if Mike, this is such a good deal, why don't you buy it? Unfortunately, I don't have an enormous pile of money unlimited pile where I can just go buy houses. Right. My wife and I try to make one large capital purchase a year. And if we can get that done, then we're hitting our financial goal. But when I do make that big capital purchase, it takes me time to recoup the money, to save the money in order to go do it again, which is exactly what I do. So in the meantime, I go find deals and I turn around and sell them to my clients. And then most of our clients want us to manage them for them to ensure that they're a good deal. So at the class, we go through and we say, hey, this is what we look for. This is why I buy. I show slides of my kids, why I buy what I buy, put them on the mortgages that I put them on. I walk them through real deals. I actually compare, and we can talk about this, I compare the stock market versus the real estate market, and why every financial planner that I've ever gotten to an argument about this with leaves crying, and they're so upset because their math is wrong. And we can talk about that. And just go through and say, hey, look, this is why I think you should do this. This is why we do. Because in the end, most of us have the same problem. And that problem is if we don't get up and go to work, we don't get paid. And if we don't get paid, we don't eat. Mm-hmm. Happiness is passive income.
That's pretty simple.
That's pretty simple. We can end it right there for this segment. You're listening to Haystack Help Radio, a special edition of Your Money Matters. We'll be right back.
Littleton Heating and Air Conditioning is proud of their 45 years of HVAC service to Littleton, Highlands Ranch, and Denver metro area. Littleton Heating and Air Conditioning is your Lennox and Carrier expert heating and air conditioning contractor. They are proud to offer the finest heating, air conditioning, and indoor air quality products with prompt and professional customer service and satisfaction. Call today and mention Haystack Help Radio and save $25 off any repairs or $100 off your furnace installation. Call 303-798-3880. That's 303-798-3880 for your appointment today. Littleton Heating and Air, A-plus members of the Better Business Bureau and official Haystack Help registered company.
Ladies, I know you're tired of walking into the local gun store and seeing the same old thing. So let me tell you about Rampart Firearms. Just a quarter mile up Highway 67 off of Santa Fe and Sedalia, you will find a great selection of guns, ammo, tactical, and personal defense weapons. And if you or your spouse love to hunt, Rampart Firearms is a great stop for all of your hunting needs. Shotguns, rifles, pistols, anything from predator hunting to your next big game trip. Head to Rampart Firearms at the foot of the Rockies. Open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And you will only pay a 4% tax on your purchase. RampartFirearms.com, 720-468-0050. That's 720-468-0050.
I was out on my motorcycle, and a car came out of nowhere and hit me, and I was hurt bad. My life was instantly turned upside down. I can't go to work. My bike was totaled. I had some savings, but that's all gone. And on top of all that, the person who hit me didn't have any insurance at all. I just don't know what to do.
After you've been in a motorcycle accident, call Kevin Flesh at Flesh Law. He will answer all of your questions. Kevin Flesh will help you determine if you are entitled to compensation for your pain and suffering. And he has the experience and the knowledge to navigate the complicated maze created by the insurance company designed to minimize your claim. Call Kevin Flesh of Flesh Law at 303-806-8886 to find out how he can help you to get the compensation that you deserve. That's Kevin Flesh, 303-806-8886. Call now and get back on the road.
Don't fall for gimmick ads when choosing your insurance coverage. Group Insurance Analyst has been Colorado's insurance superstore since 1984, where customers can compare and shop for all of their insurance needs. At GIA Insurance, their brokers have no allegiance to any particular health, auto, or home insurance company. Take advantage of their experience, expertise, and exceptional client service. For your free quote, call today at 303-423-0162. That's 303-423-0162. Visit their website, e-gia.com, or stop by their office at 44th and Garrison Street in Wheat Ridge. Group Insurance Analyst is an official Haystack Help registered company.
Got a question for the station? Email info@crawfordbroadcasting.com. Now back to Haystack Help Radio.
Welcome back to Haystack Help Radio, special edition of Your Money Matters, brought to you by Affordable Interest Mortgage. Once again, their number, 720-895-0500. And no matter what you need to do, maybe it's a brand new mortgage, maybe it's reverse mortgage, refinancing, Kurt and his crew can help you. So, Kurt, let me ask you a question here. When somebody is doing something like this, so now they got maybe 3 or 4 rentals, is the process, I don't want to say more difficult, but is there a different strategy, so to speak, the way you have to go about when somebody has 2 or 3 homes that they own? And
there's going to be different documentation. On the first time when somebody goes to buy an investment property, it will take a little bit more work. Once they're set up, one of the things I tell them is to make sure you keep this documentation. I got to be able to prove these things. So when they're coming back on the 3rd or 4th or 5th time, they've got everything. And it's just bang, bang, and it becomes much simpler because they've proven it. There's different ways to take the property and put it on your tax returns to get the best bang for your buck. You can depreciate, you cannot depreciate, just like Mike says, it depends on where you want to go at the end. So the first one's a little tougher because there's terminology that we got to talk about and get you through. But after that, it actually becomes much simpler.
Right. So, Mike, you have these classes. What are some of the things as you visit with people that come in and maybe after the seminar that they're just the most shocked to learn about this whole process of, buying real estate, investing, and maybe using that as a retirement tool? What do they say? Man, I just can't believe this is right.
The returns. Yeah. They don't think that the returns are. They think that that it's just not that easy. And what I tell people, Kurt just actually said it, but I say the same thing when they're buying investment properties. The first one is kind of scary because you're saying, wait a second. So I'm gonna put down, because this is the way people think about it. I have a client right now. He's buying a $650,000 duplex in Golden. It's a 5-bedroom, 2-bath on one side and a 4-bedroom, 2-bath on one side. And he's buying this property, and he's going to make, this is his words. He said, so I'm going to spend this money and I'm going to make $600 a month. But he's going to make $600 a month in cash flow, positive cash flow. But when you add that $600 a month up, along with the debt reduction, because his tenants are paying off his mortgage, when you add those numbers together, based on the amount of money that he invested, he's actually making more than he would in the stock market.
About $1,600.
Exactly.
He's making about $1,600 net.
He's making a bunch of money. And then if you factor in over time appreciation, he's just crushing anything that he can do in the stock market. And that's the one thing people, it's like, well, I can't make 15%. Actually, you can. And we do regularly but it's patience. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to make 12% on my money, I want to make it in 3 years, and then I want to sell my property, I tell them, I was like, look, I'm not your guy, because I'm running marathons, not sprints. We're doing this for the long term. I don't buy as though I'm going to sell. I buy as though I'm never going to sell. Does that mean I sell? Of course. If the right deal comes along, various factors hit my goals, whatever they may be, I will sell, but I buy as though I'm going to keep it forever. And that allows me to really play the long game. This is long ball. This is, let's hit singles and doubles and singles and doubles. Everybody's looking for a home run. But when you look back 5 years ago at the property you bought, it feels like a home run today. But when you're buying it, it's just a single. So I think people, the first thing is the returns. Second thing that scares people is the property management piece. People are terrified of the property management piece. And then the third thing is people are like, well, so you can actually do this? And people, this is real. This isn't a game. This isn't BS. And I'm buying it. That's the other thing. People are like, so you're not buying it with me. I'm buying the property. I was like, yes, you are 100% the owner of this entire thing. And if done right over the long term, it will make you rich.
Well, it's no different than you put money in a 401k. You don't have a lot when you start. You put in little. So over the years, all of a sudden, here's the return. So when you're talking about a marathon or a sprint, it's the way you look at things and understand. It's just numbers. How do the numbers work out that's the best for you? One of my questions I wanted to ask you was, what makes you a different realtor than any and most of the other realtors in town? Besides owning 2,200 property managers. Right. That just amazes me.
So I think we are, even our property managers, we're all owners first. Mm-hmm. So when we talk to our clients, before I'm anything else, before I'm a realtor, before I'm a property manager, before I'm anything, I'm an owner. I look at these things as though I'm an owner. There's 30-some thousand real estate agents in Colorado. If you call every single one of them right now and said, hey, will you sell me a rental property? Every single one of them will say, well, of course I will. If you follow up with that and say, well, what do you own as a rental? Most of them, half of them don't even own a house. They rent their own house. The amount that actually own rental properties is so small. That's the biggest differentiation is we simply say, look, we are owners. We're going to treat this like owners, and we're going to treat you like an owner, and we're going to treat your property like we own it. I will not do anything with your money that I wouldn't do with my own. That includes the maintenance. Maybe stretching out, can we get another year or another tenant out of this carpet, or do we need to replace it? Do I need to fix the refrigerator, or do I need to replace it? Do I need to fix the roof, or am I going to wait for hail? We all know what hail is like in Colorado. These are all things that we can help you with because we do it with our own money, and that's really what differentiates us from the rest of the real estate agents out there, because this isn't retail. This is investment, and if done right, there's no reason that it can't make you wealthy.
So what does that process look like when someone comes to you and you sit down with them maybe a one-on-one after one of your seminars, just trying to figure out if they're really ready for this?
Yes.
What are some of the kind of questions you may ask them? That interview, I guess we'll call it.
So we have a unique way of doing business. And what I mean by that is, as an example, the guy that I just talked about that's under contract on the duplex in Golden. I am not, if you come to me and say, hey, I want to buy a rental property, these are my financial parameters. I've already talked to Kurt or another lender and I'm ready to go. Because that's the first one. Kurt mentioned it when we first started about just buying a house. Like if you haven't talked to a financial planner, then or excuse me, a mortgage company, you need to. The other thing is, like this guy that I met with last night, one of my questions to him is, what's your wife think of all this? Because you need spousal buy-in. You know, if you're a single person, it's easy. If there's two of you, you need spousal buy-in. I actually told him, bring your wife to my next presentation, at the end of the month, because it'll explain it a little bit better, probably than you can explain it to her. So, but once people are decided, once they've talked to a banker, once they're in and they know what they're looking for and they know what their return is, I simply say, okay, give me some time to go find you a property. And what I then go do is I go find the property and I log the property up under contract. So it's ours. I control it. And the reason I do that is I don't want to bother you. Scott, go do whatever it is you do. My clients out there, if you're a banker, a lawyer, a doctor, you work at Walmart, go do your job. I'm not going to bother you about going and finding rental properties. Think back to when you bought your own house, you and your family, or just for yourself. Well, you want to go see it because you got to live there, right?
Sure.
Buying investment's totally different. I don't care if you like the drapes. I don't really care if you like the shape of the yard. I don't care if you like the configuration of the room. What I care about is, will it rent and will it make money? And if it will rent and it will make money and it hits your particular parameters, I lock that thing up under contract. I then come to you and say, hey, I've got your property. Let's go buy it. Now's the time. Here's your property. And the first one is always scary. Our clients that have done properties with us before, they say, okay, great. Where do I sign? And that's the biggest difference between what we refer to as retail being where somebody buys a house and lives in it themselves, or investment being where you have tenants or residents living in those properties. And the reason that I do that is I don't have time to show you 100 investment properties.
Right.
And you don't have time. I don't want to call you and say, hey, I think this property will work for you.
Right.
I want to get the property. I want to vet the property financially and say, this will work for you based on your purchase price, your loan, the rents, all of that stuff, because you've previously told me all the details of it. And I say, okay, now's your property. This is your property. It's time to act. And it cuts down my time and your time, and it allows you to be confident that, okay, this does work. These are all the numbers. Now let's do this.
Sometimes I get the question from people, what happens if I'm buying rentals and the market drops like it did in 08? Because you had mentioned that you kept your homes through that. What do you tell people that will ask you that question?
The market is going to drop.
Yes.
We don't know when. If you have a crystal ball out there, let's go to Vegas. That'd be a lot of fun. But the market is going to drop. I don't know when. What I do know is that if you buy fundamentally targeted, smart deals, then you can withstand the drop. One of the things that I don't advocate buying super expensive rentals in Cherry Creek and Wash Park. I used to live by DU. I love DU. My wife and I still have a duplex by DU. But I bought it a few years ago before the prices got insane. And why don't I like the really expensive rentals? Because think about it. If somebody can afford $4,000 a month in rent, that person is just going to move quicker because they're going to buy their own house. And what's the number one cost in rental properties?
Vacancy.
They're going to move all the time. And I don't want that. And when the market dips, and it will, that super expensive stuff is the real estate that gets hit the fastest.
And the biggest.
Yep. So I don't like that stuff. I like stuff that, where your rent is less than $2,000 a month. I think of the properties that my wife and I have. I think we have 37 units, and I have one where the rent is more than $2,000 a month. So everything is on the lower end, because when people have to trade down in a down economy, and they will, they trade down into the stuff that I own, and I'm totally okay with that. And it protects me. And it's one of those things when the economy goes down, and it will, as long as you can sustain. I always coach people on keeping a couple, if your mortgage payment is $1,500 a month, keep $6,000 a month in your bank for that house. Covers 3 mortgage payments and some maintenance costs if it happens. And as long as you have a little bit of reserve, you don't have to have 50 grand, just a couple $1,000, it protects you from getting pinched should something bad happen. Even in a good economy, people get evicted, and the job loss, death in the family, divorce, these things happen out of people's control, and you just have to plan for that rainy day. But once you do it a few times, it's not nearly as scary as it feels like.
When we come back, let's talk about how maybe you decide on, what areas. You mentioned Golden. So, does Westminster look better than Parker or Thornton or whatever? So let's talk about that when we come back.
Yes, sir.
If you're looking for great deals on outdoor equipment and clothing, we've got you covered. Hi, this is Bill Paddock, owner of the Outdoorsman's Attic, your outdoor gear consignment headquarters. You'll save 20, 30, 40, even 50% on previously owned outdoor gear for the fisherman, hunter, and camper. We also sell live bait, firearms, and ammo. If you're doing a little spring cleaning, bring in your gear to the Outdoorsman's Attic. We'll sell it for you and put cash in your pocket. You can also pick up your hunting and fishing licenses right here at the store. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor gear needs is the Outdoorsman's Attic, located at 2650 West Hampton Avenue in Sheridan, Colorado. 303-781-3626. That's 303-781-3626. Or visit us online at outdoorsmansattic.com. Mention Sportsman's of Colorado and receive 20% off all your outdoor clothing.
Are you well positioned today with your current financial advisors? Or should you consider switching advisors? And if so, how can you find the right one? To help people like you, Dot Mechtenberg offers a free second opinion service. Let Dot help you achieve your retirement goals. Call Dot Mechtenberg today at 303-940-7807. That's 303-940-7807 or visit dotmechtenberg.com. Securities and advisory services offered through Genios Wealth Management Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC.
Hi, this is Scott Watley. Let me tell you what I love about Stack Optical. They are truly one of the last optician-owned, family-owned optical stores. At Stack Optical, you can be confident you'll receive personal attention. For over 50 years, Alan Stack has shown he really cares about making his customers happy. Stack Optical also has a beautiful new location at 2233 South Monaco Parkway in Denver. Free and easy up-close parking. Stack Optical has an on-site eyeglass production lab. Whether you need office eyewear or a new set of shooting or golf glasses, Stack Optical has the solution with the Stack Sport Pack. Give them a call today and ask for their $69 eye exam. 303-321-1578. That's 303-321-1578. Your eyes and vision are one of the most important things in life. I'm confident at Stack Optical, you'll see the difference. That's 303-321-1578, stackoptical.com.
Rush to Reason with John Rush, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KLZ 560.
Welcome back to Haystack Help Radio. We've got a few minutes left here with Mike Hills. Again, check out that website, realatlas.com. His number is 720-220-8500, 720-220-8500. And your next class will be at the end of the month.
You're driving down I-25. You're basically right across the street from the Bronco Stadium.
Denver.
Yeah, right
Aquarium.
next to the aquarium.
We have a
You
big
can see the
funny,
house from there.
If you have some jokes for us, we can put them up on our digital sign right on I-25 and 23rd. So look for us. Send us some jokes.
Here's one you could put up. When somebody asks if you're fat, what do you tell them? You're just easier to see.
I am in shape. Round
I
is
didn't
in
say
shape.
that.
So what will be the dates of that class?
That is the last Tuesday of each month.
That'll be the 29th?
29th at 6:30 at my office. It's free. You don't even need to sign up. Just show up, and we'll be there, shake your hand, and get you a beverage and some snacks.
720-220-8500. Now, I mentioned before the break, how do you decide about what areas? Are there better areas that rent better, or how do you figure that out?
So what we like to do, if somebody's an existing investor, we do what we call a portfolio review. So for those of you that know where Montbello is, so Montbello, Pena Boulevard and Pena Boulevard and I-70, 80239 is the zip code. I have a client right now that's owned property out there for roughly the last 8 to 10 years, and we've been selling those properties because he bought them for $100,000. They're now $300,000 out there. So we're thinking that that area is fully baked. So let's take that money and redeploy it into another area that we can get the appreciation again. As an example, when you say Colfax in Colorado, what's the first thing that comes to your head? Truly, do you think?
Probably not good.
Not good, right?
Yeah.
Rough area, right?
Very
Maybe
much.
prostitution, drugs, stuff like that. But what's happening at Colfax and 225? Hospitals.
Yeah, a lot
that
of
area
change.
has
That
blown
area-
up over there in a good way.
VA hospital, everything is starting to change over there.
So we've been buying over there for 4 years. Why? Because hospitals bring money, bring jobs, bring development. So the houses that we were buying in what's considered Aurora North, which is the Colfax corridor, that we were buying these properties 3 and 4 years ago for $110,000, $115,000, $125,000. Today those properties are selling for $300,000, $325,000, $325,000, $285,000, because we had the foresight to say, look, when hospitals come in, it drives prices up. My client that's buying in Golden, why do I like Golden? What do we have in Golden or it's just outside of Golden, that we don't have in, say, Eastern Colorado? Mountains.
Right.
Mountains drive prices up. Why? Because you can't build more. There's nowhere else to build. You have to go into the mountains.
Right.
So what it does is it drives demand up. Google is building a second campus in Boulder, drives values up. Largest outdoor mall in America is being built south of Castle Rock, drives prices up. The Gaylord's building out on the way to the airport, drives prices up. Lockheed Martin just moved more jobs here, drives prices up. Lincoln and I-25, the Charles Schwab moved all of their digital techie guys
Well, that
from around
whole
the
area
country.
has gone crazy.
It's gone crazy. The jobs, money, houses follow job growth. And when you have job growth and when you have buildings and you have big professional companies coming in, it drives prices up. One way we say it is urban infill. When you have urban infill, when you have redevelopment, we try to be on the front side of that and sort of predict that. But that goes back to appreciation. And at Atlas, we treat appreciation differently. We want appreciation. We really like appreciation. But I'm not banking on appreciation. If you bank on appreciation, you're simply gambling. So what we do is we try to buy good deals in those neighborhoods that have good solid rents. So even if they don't appreciate, we still make money. But if they do appreciate, we make a lot of money. And that's what we're after. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
What happens if you've got a couple people that want to get together and buy properties? How do you deal with them differently?
I sit down. If people, usually when people do that, it's because they're young.
Yes.
You know, they're young and they're scared to do it on their own. If you can afford to do it without having a partner, I would do it. The only partner I have in any of my properties is my wife. And Uncle Sam, frankly. I guess Uncle Sam is...
Uncle Sam's all our partners.
Yeah, he's my partner as well. But I try not to buy anything with partnerships just for the sheer fact that it creates headache. Even that, and I don't want to ruin relationships. I've done partnerships in other businesses with other people, and many times that if things go bad, it ruins relationships, and I don't want that to happen. I'd rather be friends with somebody and not business partners with them.
Sure. Once again, that website is realatlas.com. The number is 720-220-8500. Again, 720-220-8500. Real quick, a couple minutes left there. What age groups of people do you usually find come to your seminars?
Usually it's either very aggressive younger people or people that are eyeing retirement, late 30s, early 40s, early 50s, and they wake up and they realize, man, I just don't have enough money. I need to take some calculated risks today, because if I don't, I'm going to have to work till I die. And we simply say this: look, is there risk in this? Of course. You're buying rental properties. There's risk in everything you do.
Sure.
In my humble opinion, it's riskier to do nothing. If you want to work till you die, fantastic. But I don't, and I'd rather take the risk today and try to mitigate that risk by being slow, being steady, being laser target focused. And if I can do that and it takes care of the future, man, that's better for my wife. It's better for my kids. It's better for me. It's better for my work life. And it takes away some of that risk. There's still going to be risk, but working till you die is in my humble opinion, way riskier.
You only have limited amount of money that you can spare. In most cases, some people have more than others. But if you're not putting it somewhere to make it grow, you're basically taking that one talent and digging a hole and putting it in the ground.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to give you anything when you need it. So you have to go out. I have to ask you this question. Of all the people you've done, what's the funniest or most interesting story you've ever had on an investor?
Did I tell you?
One of many.
Did I tell you the story of my own property with the pot grow? Did I tell you guys this last time?
Pot grow?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
This comes with pictures. You guys can't see it.
Pictures.
So long story short, one of my tenants got arrested. He got in an argument with his wife and did some things he shouldn't have done. She disappeared. He was in jail. He spent a year in jail. And long story short, this is one of my personal rentals. It took me about $4,000, $4,500 to turn the property, loss of rent, get a new tenant in there. Well, this guy happened to be growing marijuana before it was legal in my garage. So I tried to sell all of this equipment on Craigslist. Well, I don't know how to sell pot equipment because I hate cutting my grass, let alone growing marijuana. So people were showing up and they're like, okay, I'll give you $20 for that, $30 for that. I don't know what any of this stuff is worth. So I put it on the barter section of Craigslist. And a guy showed up and traded me all of that equipment for a 2002 Kawasaki dirt bike, at which point I brought home and my wife was like, no chance, you will kill yourself, which is totally true. When my tenant moved out, he also had a 12-inch talking macaw, a parrot, and the thing was mean. Coco was this thing's name.
They are.
So I sold that on Craigslist for $600. I traded the $600 and the Kawasaki for a Suzuki 650 SV crotch rocket motorcycle, at which point my wife said, again, not a chance. We have little children and I need you to be around. So I traded that on Craigslist for 5 acres of land in southern Colorado.
There you go. Something that's appreciated.
I'm a real estate guy. This is what I do. So that's probably my funniest story about that.
Mike, always great to see you and great to have you in. And I assume we will do this again, Kurt.
Yes, we will. We'll have him back on in about 6 weeks.
Sounds good.
720-220-8500. Check it out, realoutlet's.com. And again, a class will be coming up on the 29th of May. So 720-220-8500. Kurt, thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us today for Haystack Help Radio. Be sure and check out our website, haystackhelp.com. There you'll find a lot of great companies to do business with. And I hope you'll leave it right here on KLZ 560.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The views and opinions expressed on KLZ 560 are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Crawford Broadcasting, the station, management, employees, associates, or advertisers. KLZ 560 is a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.